hello, everybody. Welcome here. This is Get Real with Andy, and I have a special guest, Rayssa Buldain.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very excited to be here.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I live in Florida and I am originally from Brazil, and I have a private practice in Delray Beach called Inner Voice Counseling. And I work mainly with millennials and Gen Z folks. Not that I have anything against older folks, but I just
Yeah,
find that
please.
I just vibe better, or just it just meshes well with the younger people. And yeah, so I do a lot of trauma work, a lot of inner child work, and
What are your credentials?
I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm a licensed mental health counselor,
yeah,
same master's level thing.
exactly.
All right. And
Yes.
our topic today that you and I have extensively researched
Hmm.
is how our early childhood experiences influence our current day relationship.
Right. Yes. And I think this is such an important topic to discuss, right? And so, no one wakes up and says, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to get into a unhealthy romantic relationship today,"
Yeah.
right? These are just things that we as humans find that in adulthood we gravitate towards different personalities of people, and it's very much a subconscious pattern, and it's so linked to our childhood. And yeah, I think we're going to dive into a little bit more of what this looks like, and also we're going to share some personal experiences that you and I have had.
And I've also heard that when you're attracted to somebody, it's not just the pheromones or the conscious attraction, but it's really our subconsciouses bring us together so that we can work out unfinished business.
Yes, I've heard that too.
I believe it.
I believe it too. When I look at all of my past relationships, now that I'm out of it, I see like, there was an exact reason why you were in that relationship and what you had to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful, right? Um, but also it's up to
Are you
us.
learning your lesson?
Yes, I'm grateful for learning my lesson for sure. I am. I'm claiming it.
All right.
Yeah. So tell me what made you want to discuss this topic today?
Well, partly because of my history, and also because I want to get it right. I'm a student of relationship and I want to get it right. I've been married twice. The second time we were together for 26 years.
Wow.
And when I look back, there were lots of undercurrents that I just didn't know how to deal with and didn't deal with well. And those are undercurrents are like termites in a house. If you don't tent the place, they're going to eat it up and the
Right.
foundation will fall and other metaphorical things like that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's powerful. 26 years though is a long time.
It is.
God
All right.
bless you.
Okay, moving right along.
Moving right along, yes.
Do you bring up something from your own history that is an example of what we're talking about?
Okay. So I pretty much married my mother without even knowing it until after I got divorced. 3 years later, after doing extensive therapy, I figured out that my ex-husband treated me the same way that my mother did. So my mother's always been overly caring, did everything for me. And my ex-husband was the exact same way.
Well, all right, but that on one hand, that sounds pretty good.
Yes, absolutely. On one hand, but on the other hand, it was like a codependent relationship. It was doing too much for someone.
All right, and
And
so
then,
how did you go past that?
well, I didn't. The relationship ended, we got a divorce. And then after that, doing extensive therapy, which was very helpful. I was able to dive into my childhood, dive into my belief systems of what I believed about myself and others, and even, what I thought I deserved. So, that's how my journey began.
So, does that mean you're now ready for a healthy relationship? Or are you in one? I mean,
I am not right now, but I'm dating myself right now, actually, if you must know.
yeah, I've heard that phrase recently.
It's refreshing. My therapist told me this, and now I use it with my clients, and it's about learning who Haisa is. I'm taking her out on dates. I am making sure to book my schedule doing things that fill me with joy. I am doing a lot of journaling, doing a lot of time, spending a lot of time with people that I love, friends, building friendships, and also building a friendship with myself and a deep love and connection with myself, because I think that's the most important base to have before even going into a romantic relationship.
So, is that going to help set the new baseline for your relationship of the future?
I
That
believe so.
that it's got to have those same qualities to it, or you're just not going to do it.
Right. And also it's about readjusting my standards of how I feel I should be treated. So I'm treating myself in that same respect, right? And I'm readjusting my standards now so that when I meet someone new, I'm going to be like,
You're
does this person treat me the way that I would like to be treated? And
raising the
is it
bar,
aligning
raising the
the
bar.
raising the bar? Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, it's better than.
Yes, it definitely is. What about you?
Well, I've been reflecting lately, especially since we decided to do this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this to you before, but when I was married and my wife would say, "How was your day today, dear?" or something, I would say, "Why are you being so intrusive?" And she would cry. It's like, "What's wrong with you? I just asked you how your day was." And then because I grew up in a family where my parents were older people, and I guess they were from Eastern Europe, and they just interest in children wasn't expressed
Mm,
words or touch or in or
mm-hmm.
so I wasn't used to somebody actually being interested in me. It wasn't part of my relationship vocabulary. And so I had to make great amends to my wife about that. It's like, oh, I'm sorry
Mm-hmm.
I was a jerk to you about it because you're
Yeah.
actually interested. And then I actually learned to ask her, how is your day? And it's not like I was reluctant to share, but it's like, hey, if I want to tell you how my day is, I'll tell you. You don't have to be so intrusive about it. But that was just
Right.
a weird mindset that I was in.
Well, it wasn't weird, it was familiar.
Well,
So it was familiar for you to not have your partner ask you how you're doing because in your childhood, you didn't see that.
I know I've had to be very forgiving of myself, not just
Hmm.
my parents. You know, as an
Right.
adult, I know they did their best, etc.
Right.
So I'm into being a champion for that kid. It's like, yeah, you deserve having parents who are interested in you and who show interest. Now I deserve to have a partner who's interested in me.
Right.
A-
Absolutely.
And it's okay to actually be interested. I'm not going to get lost
Right.
if
It's
I'm.
safe. It's also safe.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a good word for it.
Hmm.
All right. How about experiences? Do you have any other tales from like with clients or anything where you could
Yes. Yes.
you go for it?
I worked with a client who had an absent father, so physically and emotionally. So the father was always working and also was not there emotionally present with this client. And in this person's adulthood, they gravitated naturally towards someone who was not there physically, who also was working a lot, and also who was not there emotionally.
So the familiarity factor.
Right, right. We tend to go towards what's familiar. rather than because what's familiar feels safe because we've been exposed to it.
You know what I
We
just
know
thought of? The root of the word familiar is family.
that's true. That's true. It's a good
Think
point.
that you think that's coincidence?
Definitely not.
I don't think so.
Nope.
Think I'm on to something.
I think you are, Andy. Think. Genius.
I have my moments. All right,
Yeah.
so how did you help this person? Did somehow just realizing that this is something she was familiar with, suddenly she snapped out of it?
Wouldn't it be great if it was that easy?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, awareness is the first piece, right? Of just that person realizing this and then actually having the courage to dive into discussing her childhood because for a lot of people that's not very easy. You have memories, you feel the pain, you feel the sadness, you feel the grief of what you wish you would have received as a child but you didn't. Then you have to experience the fact of I love my parents and also there are some things that they did that affected me and you have to figure out a balance of your feelings. And a lot of people they feel bad saying, oh, my mom did this, and um you know reprimand. It feels almost like you're betraying your parents if
Okay.
you talk about what they did.
I think that
And
that's the right word too.
right, and for this client and for so many people and like for me as well is realizing that you're not betraying your parents by talking about what happened. You're doing this for yourself, and it doesn't mean that you have to stop loving or appreciating your parents because everyone's parents did the best that they could with the amount of awareness that they had at that time.
And that is an adult thing to say. The adult
Right,
brain can can get to that point, but
right.
that in itself doesn't liberate the child brain or the kid imprint or whatever you want to call it.
Right, exactly. That's why in inner child work, which is very helpful in regards to, mending romantic relationships, it's about connecting with your inner child and allowing your inner child to feel that pain, feel that sadness.
And I like to say it's more important to save the child than it is to condone the parents or forgive the parents. And that can feel a little unsafe in the beginning of the process because it's like you're challenging somebody that, as an adult level, you still want to respect and all that. I mean, even in
Right,
most Bibles and holy books, it says honor your parents,
right, right. That's a very good point.
save the kid. I almost wanted to use the word rescue, but somehow
Mm,
areas the word rescue has gotten a bad rap because
right.
some things need rescuing and not in an enabling way.
Unhealthy, right, right.
And listen, kids are victims. You know, I may not be a victim as an adult, but kids are victims. We don't have the skill set when we're children to navigate clearly or understand what's ours and what's not ours.
Right. Yes. And as a kid, your brain is not fully developed. You think that everything that happens around you is because of you. So, dad didn't show today from work. He hasn't been here for 3, 4 days. He must not like me. What did I do wrong? What do I have to do for him to come back?
I have another client story. I have
Okay.
a client who was a woman, a young, attractive woman who's an art dealer, and she used to go back and forth between Europe and the States with high-end art.
Art.
And she used to get involved with older men. And once they fell in love with her, she would dump them. And she didn't understand herself, why she did it. She said, I feel really cruel and mean. I almost know what I'm going to do when I start, and I can't seem to control any of it
Mm,
or understand it. And so when I talked with her and she told me her history, that her father left when she was a very young child, and her
mm,
mother kept saying, never need a man, always be independent, because you never know when a man will leave. And
right.
she mixed that, like you said, with her own child awareness and conclusions.
Right.
Was acting out with these older men. She was in revenge mode. And
Right.
I'll show you what it feels like to be hurt and to be left. And she
Right.
did it over and over again. And once she actually felt the feelings, which were abandonment and sadness, and she did a lot of, she wept.
Hmm.
She wept as the little girl and she wept for the little girl. And
Mm.
then her relationship life just got more normalized, naturally normalized.
Yeah. It's almost like if you have a wound that never properly closed, there's like still debris under it and it sort of closes, but then it becomes infected over and over again. Inner child work and therapy, right? It's about opening up that wound, which initially hurts, and then you have to clean out the stuff, right? Which also hurts. But then eventually it's almost like you're actually allowing for that wound to properly like be, be clean, and now it can close and heal properly.
You know, I have a great story that shows that this is more than just a metaphor. I used to work as a nurse in the hospital
Oh, I didn't know that.
3 years before I became a therapist.
Oh,
Had somebody who was admitted to my unit with a
mhm.
fever of unknown origin. So we
Wow.
did all kinds of things, scan, and it turned out that this person had had an appendectomy 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the wound looked completely healed over. Everything was fine.
Is
But
that when they take out the appendix?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And so, but on scan, it turned out that the doctor had left a sponge in there. So what do you
Oh,
think the treatment was?
go back in, take out the
Okay.
sponge, clean it out.
Perfect metaphor for what you just said. And that's
Yeah.
exactly, they had to open up the wound, even though it
Right.
looked fine. There was
Right.
no pain on the surface, but the body was fighting it. It was in there.
Right. The body knows.
The
The body
body
feels
knew.
it. I'm looking at some notes here that I have, if I can share them.
Sure.
So it talks about the emotional blueprint. Childhood experiences create a blueprint. I don't know why I can't say that word for what love feels like.
I'm not editing that out.
If
Let's
if
just call it let's just call it a blueprint, all right?
if love was inconsistent, if love was conditional, or if it was absent, we may unconsciously seek similar dynamics in adulthood, either to repeat them because it's familiar or to try to fix them.
Yes. I have seen that impulse too. We want to get it right. I've started talking earlier. I'm a student of this. I want to get relationship right. So
Yes.
even, but I'm going to learn how I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn by doing and, practicing better communication and better boundary skills and all that.
Right.
But still, that's a field, laced with making mistakes.
It is. And a lot of people want to get it right. And they do, all these different workshops, and they actually take long time, like a long break from dating, too long sometimes, because they want to get it right. But yes, you have to get your feet wet.
Yeah.
And also, it's you stepping into the unknown, which can be scary for a lot of people, right?
Referring to what?
Well, getting into a relationship,
Oh,
stepping into the unknown.
yeah, yeah. In a way, if you wait until you're ready, it might be too late.
How so?
Well, because ready or not, there's always going to be more to learn. And if you think you have to learn a certain amount before are ready, it's not like you will know how to do it just because you say you're ready. Because I think being ready is more just being ready to accept the challenges of it,
Right.
rather than be a master of it right away. But listen, I have something that I recommend that I
Okay.
try to follow for myself.
Okay.
If, if I want intimacy in my life, there's the three pillars of intimacy are honesty, self-revealing, and vulnerability.
Mm,
And if I want intimacy, I'm going to do my part to bring those elements in. That means
hmm.
to reveal myself, to be vulnerable, and to be honest.
Right. Yes. That's a beautiful blueprint. I said it right.
It is
Yes.
beautiful. I mean, beautiful blueprint.
Yes. Yes. I'm looking at my notes here.
All right.
Yeah, so healing is possible.
Yes, that's a good affirmation.
Hmm.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
I believe that too for everyone. If you're out here listening to us right now, healing is possible for you.
The body heals naturally. It's what the body does. If you give it the proper nutrition and eliminate the obstacles, the body will heal. I have seen that over and over again at a physical level where
Hmm.
it's amazing. People with all kinds of diagnoses, once
Hmm.
they engage super nutrition and super elimination of toxic stuff,
Hmm.
the body does its thing. And I believe the same thing is true about the inner life, about the heart
Yeah,
and
the emotional body.
definitely.
Yes,
So we're optimists.
we are. Healing is possible for everyone. Understanding your patterns is going to be helpful if you are in this healing process. Journaling, right? Putting your thoughts out on a piece of paper, reading it out loud, asking for feedback from the people that love you, friends and family, and saying, hey, how do I come across to you? Is there, is it easy for you to connect with me, or do I have some blocks? Do you notice that? And also take that with a grain of salt. If one person says it, then you might be like, okay, I'm going to think about that. But if there's two or three, four people saying the same thing, then that's going to be data for you to look at and say, huh, okay, this is some
Well,
feedback, Andy. What else can be helpful? Skills like emotional attunement, communicating, setting boundaries, like you already mentioned,
what
right?
do you mean by emotional attunement?
So, knowing how to connect and attune with someone else and their emotion. So if someone is sad, have like learning how to connect with someone and be on that same level with them, not trying to just fix them, just being able to attune with that person where they're at and, say, what do you need from me right now? Do you want me to just sit here and listen? Do you need a hug? How can I support you? Does that make sense?
Yes, and it doesn't mean take on their suffering
Right. Be a witness that emotion with them.
because you and I, as therapists, are involved. We're deeply involved in the suffering business. I mean, the alleviation of
In
suffering.
the healing business,
Yes, that's what I meant. But we're really exposed to suffering
we
a
are.
lot. And
Yes. And there's
I'm
a lot of suffering out there. All of us suffer. We're here on Earth school, and we're here to learn. But yes, it's painful at times, but there is hope and there is a lot of healing too that me and you witness. I'm sure you've witnessed some beautiful healing stories from your clients, right? And me as well.
I hear sometimes from people that I've seen years ago, they'll report back to me. They'll remember something I
Mm-hmm.
actually said to them. I don't remember having said it to them.
Yes,
It
yes.
sounded really good when they repeated it.
I know. I can relate with that. Sometimes people are like, "Oh yeah, you said this to me and it really helped." And I'm like, "Really? What did I say? I don't remember, but I'm glad it helped."
Yeah, because we're just so in the moment, we don't record these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. It comes from the heart.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant to say. It is a fun business that we're in. I know I just said it involves a lot dealing with a lot of suffering, but
Yeah.
it's fun.
It is. It is. I mean, it's beautiful work. It's meaningful. We're there to witness people and love them, right? And listen to them. And it's really, really fulfilling work.
So, you also work with couples and families?
I don't. I don't work with couples yet. Maybe in the future. I have worked with couples and I have worked with families. But right now I want to just focus on individuals.
I love working with couples. I
You
tell you,
do?
I learned so much.
I bet. I bet. I
Like
definitely want to
note
in the
to
future.
note to self. never do what that dude is doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I'm not in their system, I get to step into their system and help them move things around.
Mm-hmm. And you get to see it from a different perspective.
Yes, yes, because I don't have the history with them.
Right.
It's really, that's the fun part. And I get
Mm-hmm.
to say things that they are reluctant to say. They feel it, but they don't say it
But
out
they
loud.
don't want to say
And
it.
I get to say it. It's like the best. I'm like a troublemaker, but I consider myself a
I could see
benevolent.
that.
I'm a
What?
benevolent. I'm a benevolent troublemaker.
Yes, yes. All for the good.
Do you know the work of not Eric, Milton Erickson?
The stages of development.
That was Eric Erickson. I'm talking about Milton Erickson. He's the
Is
one
that
that,
his brother?
no, I don't know if they're related. I don't,
Okay, no, I don't.
but this guy was really, he was a mischief maker, but really successful. And he would intervene as a therapist in ways that nobody ever taught him in school, I'm sure, because
Mm.
he got involved. There's one story where there was a woman who was getting older, and she said, this is a while back, so getting married was really important for a woman's identity at the time.
Right, right,
I'm
yes.
getting older and I'm not getting any younger, and it's just not happening for me. And I don't know what to do. I think I'm ready to give up. I don't think I will ever get married. And so he said, all right, so you got nothing to lose. Is that what you're saying? She said, yes, I've got nothing to lose. Then he said, I want you to go. Re- is there anybody that you have your eye on? She said, yes, there's this guy at work, but I'm too shy to
Mm-hmm.
do anything. He said, he noticed that she had a gap between her teeth.
Mm-hmm. Like me?
Oh, look at that. And
Yeah.
then he said, I want you to practice spitting between your teeth. And she said,
Stop.
what has this got to do with therapy? What does this got to do with anything? He said, you have to trust me. I want you to learn how to spit through your teeth.
Okay.
And so she finally, week after week or whatever, she said, I finally got it. I can put some water in my mouth and I can squirt it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said, I want you to get all dressed up, go to work, and at the water cooler, I want you to spit on this guy. Just spit some water on him. And she said,
Wow, this guy is very unorthodox. But yes, good.
unorthodox.
I'm interested. Okay, how did it end?
And I'm sorry, our time is up. No, I do that with clients just when we're getting to a good point.
That's funny.
But anyway, he had her agree. He said, I'm going to give you some instructions, but you have to agree to do them with no questions asked, or else you're just going to get older and kill yourself. I mean, he painted a weird picture. So she
Mm-hmm.
finally agreed to do whatever he said. That's when
Mm-hmm.
he said, at the water cooler, I want you to spit some water on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, okay, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
She came back the next session and she said, I spit on him. And he was so shocked that he didn't know what to do. But the next day he came into work with a water gun and squirted me. And she
That's so
said,
funny.
and we've been dating ever since.
Oh, look at
Turned out
that.
that they ended up actually getting married
Wow. So it was about then being playful. I think that's what he was trying to help her do.
because it turned out that the guy was just as shy as she was.
Right.
Somebody had to, make the move.
Break the ice and do
Yeah.
something playful and fun.
Yes. And he didn't
Yes.
react right away. He was like, and she was
Mm-hmm.
mortified. She spit on him. I don't think she said my therapist made me do it, but
Right.
but then the next day he came in with a water gun and it was just lovely. So
That's
that's kind
cute.
of,
Yes. And right. So if you're in the dating scene right now, maybe it's, don't go spitting on people, but it's about playfulness and also smile, right? If you're in a coffee shop and there's people, smile. Don't just be serious because a serious face is not an inviting face.
how will you know you're ready? How will
How
you?
will I know I'm ready?
Yeah.
Is this my own therapy session?
No, it's just to make it personal.
Okay. How will I know I'm ready?
Oh man, you know what that means when a client repeats the question you asked them,
What does it mean?
stalling for time.
I am stalling for time because I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know right now. I might be ready soon. Right now, I'm not. How will I know? I will know when I feel like I have space in my life for it. Right now, I've made my life very busy because I have a lot of personal goals that I'm trying to get to. I would say I'm giving myself a couple months. So give yourself a couple of months for whoever is at home. You don't have to rush into it. Whenever it feels easy for you in your schedule, in your body, you don't have to, and you know what? Sometimes it might just happen. You might not be looking for it, it might just happen. So,
Yeah.
what about for you, Andy?
No, hold on. You're not turning it that quick. No, you do have a gap between your teeth a little bit. You might want to try the spitting thing.
That's not going to happen.
I'm putting myself out there.
Okay, nice.
And then, I actually did have a girlfriend for 3 years, and I met her when I was 71.
Look at that.
It's never too late to learn. It was the best relationship I'd ever been in.
Yeah, you had 50 years of learning
50
or
years,
something
50 years of screwing it up.
in order to not screw it up and to
Yes,
learn.
yes,
Yes,
that's what I mean.
yes, that's great. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say before we get going?
I do want to say one thing. Our
Okay,
relationship with our parents, with our mother and our father, especially the parent of the opposite sex, is a prototype of the relationship that we have with the opposite sex. If you're a same-sex person, this it will be true about the same-sex parent.
right,
So prototype means that's what we learned from. It's the template from which we learned relationship, what a relationship is and feels like.
right. Yeah, it's what you observe, you know. So as a little girl, if I'm seeing my father be extra loving to my mother and bringing her flowers and treating her like a princess, right? Then that for me, that's my prototype of like what a man is supposed to do to a significant other, to a woman, right? And if I'm seeing my father not be present or, emotionally and or be physically abusive or anything like that, then you're also taking that prototype of like, oh, okay, is that how you show love? That must be.
Yeah. There's no end to how we can twist things around.
Right. Yes. That's why you don't have to do this alone. Like if you're at home wondering how am I gonna ever find this stuff out about myself and get better, you could definitely get a therapist, right?
Therapy help. Therapy.
Therapy helps, yes. And, not just therapy, there's other things that you can do as well.
Do we want to mention any kind of group process?
Right, yes. Group therapy. What
Some
else?
some kind of weekend workshop, perhaps?
Workshops, right? Yes, yes, yes. You do the honors.
Well, I tell my clients about the real course
Mm-hmm.
all the time because I've gotten so much benefit from it.
Yes, yes. And I will second that because I
I'll,
did the
I'll
real,
post the link of that,
yeah.
therealcourses.com.
Right. Yes. It's a wonderful program. I did it like a year and a couple months ago, and it's really changed my life and my perspective on relationships. And it's the gift that keeps on giving because you can always go back to be an assistant rather than a student. So
So it's a
it's really
weekend
wonderful
workshop.
program.
It's a whole weekend, Friday night, Saturday, most of Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Deep emotional work done in a group setting. It's very
Right.
safe, very loving, very enlightening, and very
Yes,
challenging. It has a very challenging aspect.
it does. It does. But
But
it's beautiful and definitely worth it.
because let's face it, some things need to be challenged. I believe in evolution. I believe
Yes.
in that process. things eventually everything will evolve. But I also believe in revolution. Some
Yes,
things need to be overthrown.
they do. And you know what? You can't live in your zone of comfortability forever. You're gonna rot there, like
Yeah.
we are supposed to push ourselves out of our comfort zone because that's where we grow, that's where we learn.
And what's the slogan of the real courses? Do you remember the one I'm thinking of? It has to do with comfort.
No.
We comfort the disturbed and we disturb the comfortable.
Really? I've never heard
Oh,
that
you hadn't
before.
heard that? Yeah.
No, maybe it's because it was like before my time.
Maybe. I, it was mentioned in the last course.
It was. I don't remember, but I like it.
It's good. I like it. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for this.
Yes. Thank
Uh,
you for having me. This has been, such an honor to be here, and I really enjoy our conversations. And I hope that some of our mumbling has been helpful for whoever is listening.
I'm going to post your credentials and your contact information.
Okay, great. Yes, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Super.
right. Okay. Bye.
Bye.